Have you ever just wanted to disappear into the woods, just to find that quiet spot away from everyone else, away from all the noise, and just disappear for a short period of time? We all need that sometimes, just the ability just to disappear into the woods, just to have a bit of peace and quiet. Today I'm setting up my DD 3x3 Tarp in a stealth configuration. So if you've ever fancied stealth camping, bear with me on this video, because I do believe that this setup may very well become your go-to, your favorite setup using the 3x3 configuration. So anyway, let's get on with it. So folks, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to attach a ridgeline between this tree over here and this tree over here. Secure the rope then to the tree. All I have is just a bowline at the end of a bit of paracord. It's going to feed it around the tree. Get it to the height I want. So it's just going to be around my waist height. And then with a bowline and the working end, I'm just going to put a loop through the loop of the bowline. Pull that down nice and tight. Get a stick. Put that through that loop. Pull it nice and tight. And just cinch this in. And then that's really, really secure. I'm just going to attach it to this tree over here. All I'm just going to use is just a trucker's tow hitch. A trucker's tow hitch, if you've not seen one of those, again, all I have is my rope. I'm just going to put the rope around this tree here. All I'm going to do with this, just my hand over, create a loop, and then just pull the side closest to the tree through. Creates a loop, and then the working end of the rope, it's gone round the tree. I'm going to feed that through the loop. It's going to pull back on myself, and I can pull back really, really tight. What I can do is I can feed this rope through this loop twice, and it'll create a bit of a bite that way. So if I pull back now, it bites on itself and doesn't let go. And then all I'm going to do is just create a loop and a bite, another loop and a bite, and that's going to lock that in place. And what I could do is I could just put a stick through here, pull that down tight, and now no one can pull this end, so it comes loose. And that's it. That's my ridge lined up really, really quickly. It's going to clear the floor of debris. Sometimes you don't want to stand out. Sometimes you do just want to disappear, just to get away, have that bit of peace and quiet. And the good stealth setup lets you do that, lets you disappear, set up somewhere where you can be warm, dry, and just feel safe and secure, and just have that bit of time for yourself. And the DD 3x3 Tarp is perfect for that. Small, compact, robust, and big enough that you can make a good shelter out of it and have a nice stealth camp. Enjoy yourself out here. So what you want with a 3x3 tarp is you actually want the ridge line here of the tarp to be going diagonally or going across the way in line with your ridge line. And that's really important, because if you get that wrong, then you're not going to be able to set up the tarp properly. All I'm going to do is set mine up just using Pro6, but I'll show you through this. I'll walk you through this as I'm going through. Hopefully I have you guys facing the right way, so I'll be mindful when I'm setting this up today that to actually do it, so I'm actually showing you rather than just going through it and talking about it. So anyway, let's get cracking. So I have two Pro6, a Pro6 knot loop over, and you're just going to feed the tail through 2-3 times, and then just pull the tail down nice and tight. That's the prusik. It's free to move up and down the rope, but as soon as I put tension on it, it just bites against itself and is secure. So if you've not seen a prusik before, great little knot, and it comes apart really easily, really quickly. And I'm just using 2 wooden sticks off the floor just as dowels. And what you do, so you don't want the first tie-up point, you want the next one in, and all you're going to do is feed that through your tie-up point, put a stick through it, and then do the same on the other side. And if you just pull that tight, so there's the prusik and the stick, just to keep the top of the tarp tight. So I'll now show you the back end. So for the back end of the tarp, you either use tent poles, or, because I forgot mine today, obviously, I'm just going to use some sticks off the ground. Just going to go with the middle one first. And just pull that quite tight and just stick that into the ground. And then same with the next one out. There we go. Let's get one more stick. And the same then with the next middle one. And you just get another stick and just again just put it nice and tight. And that's the back end of the tarp done. And then what you have, the excess underneath, you're just going to pull through. And again, just secure the middle one in the ground. And then the next one out. And finally, the same with this one over here. And there you have the beginnings of your shelter. And then to secure these sides down, just get another stick. And there you have it. So I've just changed the anchor points for these, instead of coming straight down, just out to the side. So it just gives me a bit more space inside. So now I can properly stretch out in it. So I'm about 5'8", and I can fit in this quite comfortably. I've done the same setup with my DD 4x4. And that does give you a lot more space inside. So, you know, if you're like over 6 foot or 6 foot in height, then the 4x4 is a great tarp for this setup. It really is a peach. It's a great setup. So there you go, my little stealth shelter. I do love this little configuration. I do love it. I said I've slept in here many a night. and I love it. I don't really like sleeping in a tent, if I'm honest with you. I tend to feel a little hemmed in, whereas this gives me kind of all the protection of a tent, in that I've got my sides covered, floor, roof. I just have this open vista here. As long as I can set it up properly, so the rain's not driving in, I'm going to be warm and dry. My kit's going to be warm and dry. I could easily have like a small, long log fire in front of me. All that heat then would just radiate in. Not so much stealthy then, but more like a survival shelter. But it works. It does work. It just makes you feel, or it makes me feel safe and secure. And I love that. It just, yeah, I don't know what it is. It's like having a hug. You feel hugged and protected in this setup, while still having the access to the world, nature in front of you. It's just awesome. And again, there's loads of space in there for your kits, all your kits dry. So I hope this little show and tell works. So I'd love to see if you guys could, if you haven't, to set up a shelter like this and to give it a go. A little stealth shelter. It is, I just love it. I do love this shelter. I mean, it is such a cool shelter, a cool setup. It's just low profile. And if you do your setup like this, where you've got proper foliage around you, vegetation, or you know, near other trees in a bit in a better location, this setup does just disappear. You can properly hide away. Really can. It is really good. Obviously I've just set up today just to show you guys what it looks like, but as you can see, it's just an epic little setup. In terms of being stealthy, if you haven't done stealth camping before, some things to be thinking about obviously is the shape. So the human eye is drawn to irregular shapes. Now an irregular shape would be the shape of a house, right angles, straight lines. They shouldn't exist in nature. They don't really exist in nature. Nature's full of weird and abstract shapes. I mean, even the trees around me, I don't think there's any tree here that's identical. So the human eye is drawn to shapes that stand out in nature. So anything that's straight doesn't work. Your eye is drawn to it straight away. So what would make this even better is if you had a little camouflage net. You could even attach it to the ridgeline here, and just that disruptive pattern would change the angles that you're looking at, so it wouldn't appear as straight, so it would be less obvious to find, less obvious to see. The other thing would be thinking about shadow. So if you look out into any kind of nature space, you'd expect to see that shadows as they are naturally in nature. If something is too dark, your eye will be drawn to it because it's an unnatural shadow. So if you think about walking along, so there's a hike I do down Benevena, and as I look up to my left hand side onto the cliff face, there's a couple of dark shadows, and those dark shadows are caves, but my eye is drawn to them all the time because they just stand out against the color, natural color of the cliff. So it's the same here. If you have something that's too dark, it's going to draw your attention to it just because it's the shadow. So you want to kind of mitigate, not have shadows that don't blend in with nature. The other thing then is shiny. You don't want shiny things. So if you're going for a proper stealth camp, you know, shiny things, you will notice a shiny thing from very far away. So if you're holding silver canteens, silver cups and stuff like that, and they're shining off the light of the sun, people will notice that. Your eye's going to be drawn to that because it's not, again, it's not natural. So you want things that are kind of more muted, naturally black, not shiny, because again, you'll just be seen. It'll not be seen, it'd be easier seen, I should say. So again, you don't want to be setting up something like this where you're on a brow of a hill, for instance, because you look at the natural contour of the brow of that hill, and then you have this irregular shape on top of the brow of the hill, and it just doesn't look natural. So you're always trying to blend in somewhere where it's less obvious, where you can kind of settle in, where it's a little hollow in the ground, because that's going to be easier to hide and not have that silhouette shape. So there's some of the things you can be thinking about. Other things you're thinking then is noise. You know, the clanging of a metal fork or a titanium fork against the inside of a pan. That noise is going to carry very, very far, especially at night time. Noise does carry a lot further at night time. So you want to mitigate your noise. Fires, again, ideally then you're coming out and you're cooking things with like an alcohol stove. It's not going to produce smoke. It's a small contained unit, and it's harder to detect, but it's a great way of cooking. I wouldn't be using the likes of these gas burners. I'm trying which one I'm thinking of here, but they sound like jet engines taking off. You know, these things that burn or boil water in like 2 minutes flat. I'm not a fan of those. And equally, if I was going out proper stealthy, I wouldn't want to be building a big fire, because then that's going to draw attention to me. And even in daylight, having a fire here, if I haven't got a lot of dry wood around, I'm just going to produce smoke, and that smoke's just going to be a signal to people to say, like, what's going on over there? So you're always kind of thinking about what you can do to reduce your risk of being seen. I think they're the big thing. And other things I don't think people don't really consider is things like deodorants, aftershaves. So I know from conversations I've had with guys in the past, and they said, like, you know, even the smell of your toothpaste in a jungle, people will pick up on it. The natives, the natural people in that woodland, the indigenous people, they will pick up on the irregular scents and smells because it's not natural to the forest. So, you know, scented soaps, deodorants, toothpaste, even things your clothes are washed in, they all give off a scent that isn't natural to that environment. So whilst you think it's kind of like, yeah, okay, what's the point? But in some situations, you don't want to have anything that's going to draw your attention to you, be it the noise you make, the shapes you're making, or even the scent you leave behind. So it does make you think about, you know, people who are skilled trackers, the indigenous people in like remote parts of the world. They are so skilled. They are so skilled at remaining hidden. You know, we can learn so much from them. Right, folks, I'm just going to have a quick chat about this very quickly, just to explain this again. So all I have is just a ridgeline between two trees. Attached to the ridgeline then is I have two prusik knots. Let's change that around. So I have a prusik knot, and my first thing to do is to attach not the first tie-up point, but the next one in, and then same on the other side. And then when I go around to the back, I am staking out the middle ridgeline, and that's through the ridgeline through the middle of the tarp. So it's the middle set of straps through the middle of the tarp. So I'm pegging out the middle one first, and then the next two out on either side. Then I come back round to the front, pull the tarp through, and I do exactly the same thing. Peg out the middle, and then the two ends, and then the two pieces of end tarp, these pieces, pull them down at an angle on both sides, and then pull any loose material in. And then finally, as you can see here, I've just pegged out those straps there, just to, I've done it on both sides, just to give me a decent shape. And what I could have done to make this even better is I could have actually just attached this to the ridgeline, or use a prusik just to keep it attached, because the chance that if it were to rain, this then would pull down, whereas if attached to the ridgeline, it's not going to. And that's it. This is a setup you can do in about 5 minutes flat, if not quicker. it is really, really good. 3 sides of protection. Again, you know, you could have a long log fire in front, I said earlier, if you wanted to. If you weren't bothered about being seen or using somewhere you know that you're not going to get seen, there are places where you can go and do that. Otherwise, easy to have a bivvy bag in there, like just an old British Army bivvy bags, one I have, and it's brilliant because you're not going to get wet. Easily store all your gear in there, and it just feels safe. So, with that, folks, I always forget to do this. So about 90% of you guys aren't subscribed. So if you're enjoying the content, please do subscribe or consider subscribing. Leave a like, leave a comment. It just helps the video, which helps the channel, which helps me. I appreciate that. So guys, I do appreciate everyone who watches, everyone who subscribes. I think we're at something like 2,203, I think, subscribers as of this morning. So, you know, getting a couple more would help. Thank you. Guys, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this little setup, and chat to you guys next week. Finally, for the security of my rope, or paracord, I don't want to be coming out here and having to untangle rope and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do is have a bowline over my thumb. It's going to feed it over and around my fingers like this, so it's all the way to the end. Doing it this way just means that when you come to use your paracord or your rope next time, it untangles quickly and easily. So I've got about a foot or so left over there. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to feed it around the back of my hand here. Whoop. Put it nice and tight. I'll do the same thing again. One more time, and then just lift one of the ends or one of the loops, feed it underneath, pull it tight, and that locks in place. And then when you come to use your rope again, all you need to do is pull the end that has the bow line, and it all just untangles, tangle free, or unloosens tangle free even, if that makes sense. So hope that you enjoy that, useful to you guys, and chat on the next one. Ta-ra for now, guys. See you later.